So I guess I'm live. Evening, folks. How's it going? Thrash Bondo here. I'm just waiting for some of you guys to show up. I know we discussed the matter earlier today on Dave's members only channel. And here's a surprise. Look who the first person in is. Lance Chafin says, "Hi, Thrash. Hi, Lance. How you doing, man? How's the sound and picture quality? It's looking okay my end, but we all know that doesn't mean anything." Tracy's here that says, "Hey, Robert." John Hepfer is here. Says, "R.I.P. to my boy Tony Bennett." Yes, that was a heavy casualty. 96 years young, though. You can't say he didn't have a good run. But yes, definitely a heavy casualty there. Tug is here. Says, "Hey, Thrash." Tug, how you doing? I absolutely loved your 1 million BC retrospect, by the way. It's always been one of my favorite movies. I thought your take on it was very even-handed, but I love the amount of research you did. I never knew she got tonsillitis during the filming. I never knew Canary Islands got cold. But anyway, some of your best work. Cindy D is here. Says, "Hello, everyone." Cindy D, I'm so glad you could make it. Welcome to the show. A lot of people saying hey to, Lance is saying hey to Tug and Cindy, as well as Tracy. A lot of people having fellowship. Okay, so we're up to five. And five, that's a good start. Oh, by the way, I decided when I was doing the trivia, I kind of like the theme I was doing before, where it was basically testing your knowledge of TV, lesser known facts. Basically, to see how much TV you watched back in the 60s or even in the 70s and 80s in uh, replay in syndication. So I have a couple of different. I have a similar format, but we're going to give that a try and see if you guys enjoy it. Let's put up the flagpole, see if anybody salutes it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're still like way. Technically, it's not even 7:30 yet. Let's see. Cindy D says, "I left my heart in San Francisco. My favorite Tony Bennett song. My heart is with his family." The OG groomer, yes, the original gangsta groomer. Crooner, not groomer. Ooh, by my tongue. Crooner. Yes, he. Do you know that he took part in the freedom marches too? By the way, the bus boycotts, all that stuff. Yeah, I learned that years ago, and I always thought that was really amazing about him. So let's see. So apart from that, any other big news besides the past? The biggest news of this week, of course, is the loss of Tony Bennett. Any other big news that you guys wanted to talk about? Feel free to throw it in here. While we wait for more people to show up. Tug says H not B. H not B. Are we playing Battleship? Anyway, I'm sure that will come to light. Lance Chafin says going, gone. Oh, but before he said, Led says, Thrash, how's it goon? Which is why you clarified that to going. I think I may have figured it out. It is gone very well. What you'll hear today, gone tomorrow. It's the Gong Show. That was the best I can notice at short notice. And let's just see. We're up to 6, which means someone's here, but they're not letting their presence be known. Say hello. Oh, there it is. Indy Spout says, "Hola, Roberto," which is Spanish for, "Hey, Bob." And Keith E is also here. Keith E says, "Hello. I hope you're not already talking about the Barbie movie, LOL. Grender's going to see it tomorrow. I'm probably going to bow out, by the way, not my tea of cups." You know what? I don't even really want to see this new Oppenheimer movie either. Everybody says, "How can you not want to see Oppenheimer? You're such a history buff." Two things. One, I never get to theaters. Two, it's not a fun story. I mean, granted, it's hard to think about stories from World War II as being fun, but it's just that's kind of a downer. I always thought. So I mean, it is an interesting story. I just don't know if I'd want to go to the theaters to see a movie about it. Mike Silva is in the house and says, "Those kids at school, they tease you, Kenny, because they're Oh, because they've never tasted hell. Oh, I'm sorry, you just jumped again. Today, we turn the tables. Ooh, ominous. Dominic D is here, says, hey, Thrash, everyone. Hey to you, Dominic D. Crominion is here, says, Thrash. Crominion, I'm so glad you could make it, by the way. So glad we're seeing you here tonight. Indy Spout says, hey, Thrash, which is English for Ola Thrash. A lot of people having fellowship. I didn't actually jump that badly that time. I'm gonna scroll. Keithy says positive fandom has a great video on the movie. It's pretty funny and not what you would expect as far as your review. I'm assuming you mean Barbie, not Oppenheimer. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, hello, Thrash. I'm here just in time. Whenever you get here, Terrell is always just in time. I only started a couple minutes ago, and so far all we've had is fellowship. But Terrell, I'm so glad you could make it this evening. And Mike Silva says, Clarence, strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? He's quoting, of course, one of my favorite holiday movies, It's a Wonderful Life. And Caribbean says, hola, Thrash. Ito, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien, y tú? Perdón, mi español es mi malo. And let's just see. Brogu is here, says, hello, Thrash. How are you? Brogu, I'm doing just fine. So glad you could make it. Welcome to the show. We started a couple minutes ago, but so far we're in the fellowship stages where everyone's just saying hello to each other. Hello. Hello. Tracy says, hi, Crow and Gary. Oh, you see, there we go. Everyone's saying hello to everyone. So, just basically a general Q&A today. Of course, we've been talking about Tony Bennett and what a heavy casualty he was. Criminal says, bien gracias. Gary Carpenter says, where is everyone at? Well, we're up to 13, Gary, and we've only been on for a few minutes. So, Gary, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the party, Smarty. And so far, people will start pouring in, I'm sure. But again, 13 is not bad considering we literally would have traditionally started like only a couple of minutes ago. And and he says, hit the thumbs up button. What she says. Oh, by the way, Lance, you may have said something. I couldn't quite remember. How's the sound and picture so far, guys? Didn't have a chance to do a test before I started today. Cribbington says, what's that on your hat? Well, for you Rick and Morty fans out there, you might remember the very famous episode of Pickle Rick. This hat is Rick in pickle form. If you're not familiar with Rick and Morty, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. But to make a really long story short, in one episode of Rick and Morty, which of course, as you know, is about a mad scientist and his neurotic grandson having adventures. And on one episode, they all go to family therapy, and Rick doesn't want to go, so he turns himself into a pickle using science. I did not make that up. Grimmian says, looks and sounds good. Good. There have been some, I don't know, electrical disturbances or something. The internet's been kind of wacky. I'm going to try to endeavor to persevere, but let me know if let me know if that's all, folks. If things go south. Grimmian says, Pickle Rick. Yes, Pickle Rick. Jay-Z is here and says, my girlfriend is mad again today. Any advice? Well, as we recall, apologizing worked. Oh, let us talk to her. Excuse me, Jay-Z's girlfriend? On behalf of Thrash Pondo and all Pondo's people in the comments section, we're not sure what Jay-Z did, but we do know that he's very, very sorry. If you could find it in your heart to forgive him, as a personal favor to us, we would appreciate it. We want Jay-Z to always be happy. And guys, please feel free in the comments section to support this plea for clemency for our good friend Jay-Z. Lance Javen says, you did not say hi till now. I didn't? Lance, all right. I'm certain you were the first person in, and I said, hiya, Lance, because you said hiya, Thrash, and I said hiya. unless you're talking to somebody else. But anyway, Lance, unless somehow that footage didn't post. No, no, Lance, I'm sorry. I said hey straight away, and I apologize if you didn't see it. Oh, that's probably why you didn't answer me when I said how's the sound and picture quality. That makes sense. But for a second time, Lance, um, good to see you. Welcome aboard. You were the first one here, and I appreciate it because you're the first one here, and I always appreciate it. Criminal says, never seen it, but I've heard of Pickle Rick. That would make sense. Gary Carpenter says, no, Elsie, why would I be? Oh, was it Gary Carpenter who you were talking to? Anyway, Lance, I'm sure we're all really happy with you and glad you could be here. Lance says, Jay-Z, give her a space, okay? That's probably not a bad idea either. Tug says, YouTube crashed on me, but I'm back and you're here, as are you. Welcome back. I thought you were just having a rare moment of silence. Gary Carter says, I did, and you probably didn't see it. Keith. Dominic D says, like sands through the hourglass. I thought it was these are the days of our lives. It's so are the days of our lives. But anyway, really cool line. Thank you, Dominic D. Gary Carpenter says, Thrash, you are buffering. Figures. I mentioned I start buffering. Guys, endeavor to persevere. Criminal says, hide until she gets over it, LOL. Oh, Lance Gibbons says, thank you, Thrash. Tracy says, Jay-Z's girlfriend, you got to understand. Excuse me while I say this, gentlemen, but most men I know, including my own husband, gone baby gone, forgive him for he don't know what he doing. What she said. Oh, Mrs. Thrasher's and she's rolling her eyes at me. Keithy says, since I don't want to get timed out by Cindy, I just hit the firms are on, or even this thumbs up. I think what he's saying is he's hitting the likes. And Len says, how are you, Cindy? Mr. Man and Monsters is here. He said he was going to try to make it. And he says, message retracted. And the message retracted to you, Mr. Man and Monsters. And let me know when you start Graybeard. Garrett Cooper says, I just finished my dinner, turkey sloppy joes. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Criminal says, dill sweet when it comes to pickles. Yes, dill and sweet are my favorites as well. And WD says, maybe these. Tug says, not buffering on my end. Could be localized. Cindy D says, I'm good, Lens. How are you? Gary Cameron says, it finally stopped. Good. Keeping your fingers crossing. Mike Silva says, something is wrong on Saturn 3. I actually love that movie. I love it. Criminal says, like sands of the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. Ah, a twofer. Lance is saying, hi, Mrs. Pons. Oh, she's actually in the smoker's lounge now. She actually went outside. Teb says, which TV show premiered in 1997 do you prefer better? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Daria, Ally McBeal, Just Shoot Me, King of the Hill, South Park, The View, Oz, or Dahmer and Greg? Well, there's a bunch there. Not a big fan of The View. I liked Oz. It kind of went off the rails towards the end, but I did enjoy it. Never a fan of Dahmer and Greg. I think it ran against something else that I was watching at the time. South Park was cool. King of the Hill was cool as well. I did like Just Shoot Me. Ally McBeal, I thought had its moments. I thought Daria was hysterical. And I did like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And Daryl Johnson is here. He says, Bob, other brother Daryl, how are you? Oh, Cindy says, I won't time you out, Keith. And she's laughing. Tab says, Crow Minion, I know that phrase. That's from a long-running soap opera, Days of Our Lives, as it were. Oh, I jumped again, but I'm going to try to get back to it because I don't want to miss anyone. Gary Gabbard says, I just finished watching a double feature of Clash of the Titans, 1981, and the remake. And I believe you told me earlier you prefer the original, as do I. Tug says, King of the Hill, South Park, and Oz. Can't choose. Those are all good ones. Those are probably the best of the batch. Grimington says South Park. Garrett Cameron says Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You know, Joss Whedon, when he was conceptualizing the show Buffy, was actually one of the inspirations was Not in the comet, because Sam was the sort of hippies cheerleader zombie killer, and it sort of morphed into Buffy. Len says, I had cheesy taco salad. Tasty. Sounds good. Dominic D says, I was just making a soap opera reference to Jay-Z's romantic issues. Ah! These are the days of our lives. Very appropriate. Tracy says, we had we had enchiladas here at Casa del Myers. I gotcha. The nostalgic Pod Blast is here. He says, "What's happening, Pod Blast? How you doing? By the way, love the content you've been putting out. By the way, please keep it up. Follow you on Facebook as well. Got some great stuff coming out there. Thank you for joining us tonight. The sound's still good. Good. Oh, he's talking about the salad that Lance had for dinner. A lot of people liking South Park. Keithy says, King of the Hill, unfortunately. That's not unfortunate. A lot of people saying hi to Pod Blast. I jumped again, so I'm just going to scoot down here real quick before I lose too much ground and try to pick up where we left off. Talk about anything you desire, says Good Evening Vietnam, as opposed to Good Morning Vietnam. One of my favorite Robin Williams movies. And talk about anything your desires. Welcome to the party. Glad you could make it. We'll be starting the trivia game in just a little bit. Hopefully you can stick around for that. But again, welcome, new friend of the chat. I think, Pablo says, what's happening? And a lot of people just saying hello to one another. A lot of people like King of the Hill as well. Oh, Comedian said Quantum Leap is an all-time favorite of mine. Oh, I loved Quantum Leap. Haven't seen the reboot, but I did love the original. Mike Silva says the original 60s movie, The Yesterday Machine. I'm sure I saw that, but I can't recall it. Mike Silva goes on to say 1989 original is better than the awful remake. I believe you mean 81 if we're still talking Clash of the Titans. And Pod Bless says popcorn fried chicken from Publix goes better with Thrash Pondo Pawns. I've never had it from Publix. I've been to Publix, but they don't have any in my area here. But I do love me my popcorn chicken. Up here we have Stop and Shop if you want good popcorn chicken. Criminal says remake Shudder. Your cabinet says tell Mrs. Thrash I said hi. When she comes back in, I shall. Oh, and I jumped again, but I think I'm almost caught up. So I'm just going to. Oh, talk about anything says hi Thrash. And David, I changed my name. David, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Glad you could make it. Please stick around for the trivia game. Oh, and Danny's here and says greetings from South Carolina. And Danny, greetings to you as well. Oh, and by the way, if you could maybe throw some links for Tug, Pod Blast, and Tracy, and some of the other people who have channels out there, we'd appreciate it. Yeah, as everyone knows, by the way, Danny Staten is our link master. He's our Lancelot link. Tug says nothing fancy tonight for me. Just a hot dog and some veggies on the side. Can't make a glorious meal every day. No, we had burgers and fries, not on the grill either, just fried. I'm still trying to get through some of the freezer burned meat from when my fridge broke. Indy Spout says, how did Teletubbies not make that 1997 TV list? Because Teletubbies, I don't believe actually exist. I believe it was a fever dream or a bad trip of some kind. Oh, Kenneth Wilkinson series says hi, Thrash, and hi to you too. A lot of people saying hello. Dominic D is having steak, baked potato, and salad tonight. Ooh, if anyone cares, yeah, it sounds delicious to me. Mike Silva says, believe it or not, this movie is too long. I should have ended 2 hours ago. Which movie would that be? Tab says, what TV show premiered in 1996 do you prefer better? Everybody Loved Raven, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Spin City, Seventh Heaven, The Daily Show, Third Rock from the Sun, or Nash Bridges. The only one of those shows that I really watched religiously was The Daily Show. I did watch Third Rock from the Sun on occasion, but I would have to go with The Daily Show. All the others I may have seen here and there, but the only one I followed was The Daily Show. They actually did an episode here on Cape Cod once. Criminal says Jimmy Wah was a great character. Oh, Gary Carpenter liked Sabrina. I jumped again, so I'm just gonna scroll down. Yeah, now Dave knows what it's like when you try to keep up with people. You guys are very interactive, and I'm not knocking it, but sometimes I have to kind of skip around. Mike's also like Sabrina. D Third Rock. Zuplex is here. Says hello once again to everyone. Zuplex, so glad you could make it tonight. And I'm sorry I couldn't ditch the trivia for you. Tug says, yep, LC, I'll keep you informed. Still not sure when it'll be. Oh, yeah, we have another show coming up, and we're all really, really looking forward to it. Just keep me posted. Cindy D says, crockpot ham glazed with maple syrup, brown sugar, pineapple, cooking now. That sounds delicious. That sounds really, really good. Mike Silva says Pawns meaning Quantum Leap from Quantum Leap from 1989. I thought we were still talking Clash of the Titans. It's Quantum Leap. I'm with you. Jenny says real bad storms here. My internet is sorry the internet is bad, but glad you can stay here as long as you can. Just gonna scroll down here. Cindy D Love just shoot me. Crimean says I have to go with Sabrina just because Melissa Joan Hart was so he had a crush on Melissa Joan Hart. Oh, and Danny's dropping links. Excellent. Thank you so much. We have Publix here too. And I think I've seen them in Florida, yes. And Dominic D says Just Shoot Me was a really great show. Podblast says, did anyone go to the movies this weekend? If so, what did you see? The last time I went to the movies, it was in the Dennis Playhouse. It was a couple of months ago, like 4 or 5 now that I think of it. I never get to the theaters anymore since the pandemic. But I made an exception to see King Ghidorah on the big screen. Talk about anything says Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They'll beat you, they'll bash you, squish you, mash you, cheer you up for brunch, and finish you off for dinner or lunch. I know I'm going to miss her. A tomato ate my sister. I actually have the sequel. It was an early film of George Clooney. Mrs. Thrash has a crush on George Clooney, so between schlock value and the fact that she liked him, I had to go out and get it. He's one of the best things about the movie, too. Mike Silva says, Pod Blast, that Christopher Nolan new movie. So you get to the theaters. Gary Cameron says, Sabrina was a great show, and the cartoon series was fair. Keithy says, don't forget about Corey's channel. I have to bake bean that the end of my reminders. Oh, and you're right. Baked Bean. I was hoping Baked Bean could make it tonight. He dropped me a message not too long ago. But anyway, Baked Bean, if you end up watching replay, so glad you make it replay. Lisa Fields, Music Girl 67, thank you. House of Alex, keep up the good work. And of course, as we all know, Tom the Hungry Jerk is working tonight, so he's probably listening. So Tom, you just have yourself a good night and hope you can make it. And let's just see. Indy Spoke says, anyone who mentions Groovy Ghoulies gets an extra life token for me. Oh, the Groovy Ghoulies. When I was a kid, I was once Napoleon Bonaparte for Halloween. Lance says, I saw Mission Impossible last Wednesday. Gary Cameron says, Thrasher My Turkey Sloppy Joe's was really good. Just use a can of manwich. Ooh, that sounds good. So you use like fresh turkey meat in the manwich, and yeah, I can see that. Tracy says, I love Northern Exposure. I loved that show, particularly the first couple of seasons. Dominic D says, I love the Groovy Ghoulies show theme song. Oh, I remember it as well. Somebody says, did you like it, Lance? And Danny's giving us another link. Thank you. Criminian also says Northern Exposure was awesome. Cindy D says, did you like Tom's stunts, Lance? That's a good question. Oh, Tom. Speaking of the devil, Tom is here. How's hi, everyone? We assumed you were working. I just gave you a shout out. Zublik says Tom is busy with lasagna. I can imagine. Our restaurant was crazy this past week, and Danny's given us more links. Thank you. Pablo says I heard that mission was worthy of accepting to Lance Chafin. And thank you again for another link, Danny. Several of them. And Tom says yes, he's working. He's working, so he's just listening. David says Mission Impossible good with a question mark. Based on the limited returns I've gotten in the comments about it tonight, the people who've seen it like it, or have heard good things at the very least. City says they look cool. He put a lot into them, Lance. That's one thing I will say about Tom Cruise. He does put in the effort. He certainly does. Mexilla says, Han Solo, would you look at Lumpy? He's sure grown, huh? And I think this voice is changing, Lumpy. Han Solo, come on. I'm just teasing. That has to be an MST3K reference. Big Guys 45 is here. He says, hi, Big Guys. So glad you could make it. David says, better Indiana Jones of the new one. Oh, interesting. And Danny, you've given us another link. Oh, to David Sundstrom, of course. And Tracy says, feeling people would rather eat out than make their own kitchens hot. It has been terribly hot up here in Cape Cod. I can imagine what it's been like everywhere else in the country. Superlook says Indiana Jones and the quest for gross, as in gross margins. And Mike Silva says, Crow seen Mr. Bean TV show. The Mr. Bean Crow watching the Mr. Bean TV show. That's definitely a reference to MST3K. David says, yeah, LOL, yeah. Lance Giffen says Mission has a good cast. Yeah, I'll give him that. Crumpy says, I love Mr. Bean. Ziblix also says hello to Big Guy. WD says really hot here too. And that you're in New York, correct? And we have a link to Dave's secret channel. Double secret probation. Tug says I prefer Blackadder to Mr. Bean. I love Blackadder. That's one of my favorite shows of all time because history buff, you know. Teb says, do you remember on Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, when the character of Colleen Cooper was recast midway through season 3 and no one noticed? I don't. I never watched Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Sorry. Indy Spout says, my mother's culinary training of me consisted exclusively of figuring out tip percentages. That's easy. You move the decimal over one place and then double it. So if the check is $150, that's double $15. And that's a 20% tip, which I always deserve. The weird thing is sometimes you get bigger tips when you mess up. No, seriously. Sometimes you'll mess up on the table and they'll feel bad for you, so they'll give you a higher percentage. I wouldn't recommend that as a habit, but Ziblick says that's a big nope on an octogenarian Indiana Jones. That's someone in their 80s. Mike Silva says geek, both good. Geek, both good. It sounds like a character in LARPing. Nostalgic Pablo says, thanks, Danny, for the link. Yes, Danny's our link master. Grimmy says 20% gratuity, yes. Zuberlick says Indiana Jones and his Walker. As in Walker, Texas Ranger, or the film with Ed Harris? No, I know you mean the one. Tracy says hi to all I have missed. Yes, definitely. If I've missed any comments, by the way, when I was skimming through, please forgive me. By the way, I'm just trying not to fall too far to the wayside. Zuperlick says Indiana Jones and the Preparation H. Ew. No, Crummington says Indiana Jones and the Old Folks Home of Doom. I think we have a winner. And David's giving us another link. Thank you. David says, "Hey, Thrash could bring up a piano like Laurel and Hardy." Oh, that's a good one. That's a good crung. And Publis says, "LOL, Caribbean old folks home." LOL. Yeah, that's. I think we have a winner for the Indiana Jones jokes of the evening. Indy's Boat says, "In the third indie movie, the challenge was kneeling before God. In the latest, it's getting back up." And Gary Cameron says Z, and I told him it looks promising. Ziploc says Indiana Jones and the premature dementia. Wowzers. Dominic D says Indiana Jones and their search for the Geritol Isle. And not or the prune juice at least. Les Javen says Indiana Jones and the Deadly Bingo Game. Oh, Shock Theater Official says, "Yep, Shock Theater Official. So glad you could make it. Welcome to the party. We're just about to start the trivia game in just a minute or two, but glad you could make it this evening." Nostalgia Pub says Indiana Jones and the quest for the pillbox. Gary Cameron says it's been pretty cool here in North Carolina. Cool as in happening, or cool as in not as hot as everyone else in the country. Tug says prune juice is a warrior's drink. Well, depends what kind of battle you're fighting. And on that note, okay, so again, today's trivia game is going to be on basic nostalgic TV trivia. And I've arranged the questions a little differently. I have a new type of format that I want to bounce off you guys. I experimented a little with it last week, but I think I've worked on a little bit more this week. And as always, I'm going to start them in no particular order. Question number 10. What actor is known for appearing in Land of the Lost, Planet of the Apes, and Garrison's Gorillas? Is it A, Ron Harper, B, Roddy McDowell, C, James Naughton, or D, Spencer Milligan? I shall repeat. What actor is known for appearing in Land of the Lost, Planet of the Apes, and Garrison's Gorillas? Is it A, Ron Harper, B, Roddy McDowell, C, James Naughton, or D, Spencer Milligan? And I think some people are answering ironically. But I'm going to give you guys another second. Gary Cameron says, "Thank you, Fozzie Bear." Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Criminal says, "Don't know." Anyway, the answer is A, Ron Harper. Yes, he was in all of Planet of the Apes. He played Uncle Jack in Land of the Lost. And he was also in a show called Garrison's Gorillas, which I don't recall, but I figured some folks may have had it on their syndicated channels when they were growing up. Moving on to number 9. What larger-than-life actor could be seen on Batman, The Odd Couple, and Taxi? Was it A, Dom DeLuise? And yes, when I say larger than life, I mean thrash size. B, Walter Olkowitz, and I'm sorry if I butchered his name. C, Victor Buono, or D, Jackie Gleason? And I shall repeat. What larger-than-life actor could be seen on Batman, The Odd Couple, and Taxi? A, Dom DeLuise, C, Walter Olkowitz, C, Victor Buono, or D, Jackie Gleason? And some of you actually were saying the name even before I could get to his letter. And yeah, apparently you guys knocked it out of the park on that one. Yes, it was Victor Buono. He was King Tut in Batman. He had two different. He was in Odd Couple. He plays the building manager, and he also plays a psychic in another episode. And of course, on Taxi, he played Jim Ignatowski's father. David says Richard Simmons. Good guess. but wrong. Question 8. What famous over 7 foot tall actor did episodes of The Wild Wild West, The Monkees, and The Twilight Zone? Oscar Crominion. Very good. Cindy says, he is larger than life, LOL. Yes, he is now. Ooh, Indy Spouts for the win. I shall repeat. What famous over 7 foot tall actor did episodes of The Wild Wild West, The Monkees, and The Twilight Zone? A. Ted Cassidy. B. Fred Gwynn. C. Richard Kyle. Or D. Wilt Chamberlain. And I'm not going to bother. Yes, Daddy, he did play Jaws. He certainly did. And he says one line in the 2 movies he's actually in. Oh my gosh, Gary Carter says his last role I saw him on was Alice, and he was poisoned. Wow, very sad, very sad. But yes, C, Richard Kyle. Question 7. What 19th century born actor made appearances on Leave It to Beaver, The Andy Griffith Show, and The Monkees? Was it A, George Burns, B, Burt Mustin, C, Boris Karloff, or D, Groucho Marx? I shall repeat. What 19th century born actor made appearances on Leave It to Beaver, The Andy Griffith Show, and The Monkees? A, George Burns, B, Burt Mustin, C, Boris Karloff, or D, Groucho Marx? And looking like pretty much everyone got this one as well. Almost everyone. And yes, Burt Mustin. Question 6. And then we'll do scores. So, question 6 is, what horror icon can be found on The Brady Bunch, Batman, and of all things, The Carol Burnett Show? Was it A, Vincent Price, B, Boris Karloff, C, Lon Chaney Jr., or D, Peter Lorre? I shall repeat. What famous horror icon can be found on The Brady Bunch, Batman, and The Carol Burnett Show? A, Vincent Price, B, Boris Karloff, C, Lon Chaney Jr., or D, Peter Lorre? And yeah, it looks like a lot of you guys got this one too. Yes, it was Vincent Price. Okay, how about we get some scores? Yeah, I decided rather than just do traditional trivia questions, it's more fun to test the knowledge of like old vintage TV. And so what I've been doing is I've been going through like IMDb, Wikipedia, that type of thing, and finding people who guest spotted on shows. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that episode where Burt Munson played Kimba on the Monkees, or oh, I remember when Julie Newmar was in Twilight Zone. And so what I tried to do is I've tried to compile that stuff so that if you know either old actors and actresses or old TV, you should have a fighting chance. And I should probably read some of these scores that you people. Oh, Burt Mustin turned down. Oh, I'm sorry. Burt Mustin turned into dust on The Outer Limits. A lot of people did. But anyway, Zoomerflix says 4 for 5. You see, and you didn't want us to do trivia tonight, did you? Ken Wilkinson is 3 out of 6. Tracy is 4 or 5. Tug is 4 out of 5. Criminal is 4 out of 5. Indy is 5 for 5. You always knock these out of the park. Keithy is a mere 1 out of 5, but don't worry, you'll do better in the second half, I promise you. Cindy D is 5 for 5. Tab is 5 for 5. Gary Carpenter is 4 for 5. David is a Chucky doll, who also got 5. I'm assuming out of 5. And Dominic D is 4 for 5. Tug is beep, 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 beep. And Eastbound says, of late, I think of Cliffordville, Julie Newmar. Yes, she played the demon or the devil. You know what I meant. Oh, and Pablo says, I saw Julie Newmar on the Beverly Hillbillies. The other night on Me TV, from the same TV season, she first became Catwoman 6566. More about that later. Oh, and Danny says, I just watched a man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot. What a horrible movie. Very disappointed with it. You know what I think is going to make a great movie? I was just, my wife showed me this on TikTok. Apparently, there's been like a lot of drug trafficking up and down the East Coast. No surprises there. And when the drug traffickers feel they're about to be busted, what they do is they throw their drugs overboard. So there's no evidence, right? Well, apparently, sharks have been eating the drugs. I'm not making this up. Apparently, sharks have been eating the drugs and acting funny. So I see a sequel to Cocaine Bear, Cocaine Shark. But anyway, moving forward, I'm going to pick up again with number 5. Oh, what tragically short lived actor could be found on The Twilight Zone, Night Gallery, and The Wild Wild West? Was it A. Michael Dunn, B. James Gregory, C. Ross Martin, or D. Gary Collins? I shall repeat. What tragically short lived actor could be found on The Twilight Zone, Night Gallery, and The Wild Wild West? A. Michael Dunn, B. James Gregory, C. Ross Martin, or D. Gary Collins? We could rule out Gary Collins. I think he's still alive. It is actually C. Ross Martin. Michael Dunn, we also lost tragically young, but he was never on Night Gallery or The Twilight Zone. But anyway, the correct response with that one is C. Number 4. Oh, I think these are fun. I love these. Who was the only actor to appear in all 3 of these television shows? I Dream of Jeannie, The Twilight Zone, and The Monkees. A. Richard Kiel, B. Michael and Sarah, C. Burgess Meredith, or D. Vic Tayback? I shall repeat. Who is the only actor to appear in I Dream of Jeannie, The Twilight Zone, and The Monkees? Richard Kyle, A. B. Mike Anzara, C. Burgess Meredith, or D. Vic Tayback? Give you guys another minute on this one. Ooh, apparently this one's tougher than I thought. Oh, Gary Carpenter brings up a good point. Gary Carpenter was married to Marianne Moby, yeah. I'm gonna give you guys one more, a few more seconds here. No more guesses. Tug, it's one of those 4. Good guess. Okay, Richard Kiel. Richard Kiel. There was a Mad Scientist episode where he played a creature on the Monkees. John Hoyt is in that one as well. He was also in I Dream of Jeannie, and he did a couple episodes of the Twilight Zones, but the one in particular was he was one of the Kenemets in To Serve Men. So yes, A. Moving forward, number 3. Who was the only actor who appeared in all of these television shows of the ones I've selected here? A. Batman. Oh, sorry. A. Batman, Wild Wild West, and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Was it A. Richard Kiel, B. Michael Ansara, C. Burgess Meredith, or D. Victor Buono? I shall repeat. Who was the only actor to appear in Batman, Wild Wild West, and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea? A. Richard Kiel, B. Mike Ansara, C. Burgess Meredith, or D. Victor Buono? Lynn Driven says Richard Kiel was in Cannonball Run 2. Yes, he was. I believe. Wasn't his last acting credit Happy Gilmore? Ooh, a lot of people guessing Burgess Meredith. But no, I'm sorry. Pablo says Michael Anzara was in the 1961 Fox movie Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea with his wife Barbara Eden. He certainly was. He played the religious fanatic. Pardon me. Um, but anyway, the correct answer is D, Victor Buono. Penguin guy. Pardon me. Number 2, which is the only act to appear in The Night Gallery, Outer Limits, and Star Trek? A. John Aston, B. Alan Napier, C. Burgess Meredith, or D. Jeff Corey? Oh, yes, Gary. Brett Mustin was in The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. I think, for the life of me, I think he was actually in The Reluctant Astronaut, too. But I'm not 100%. But here I shall repeat. Which is the only actor to appear, of these choices given, to appear in Night Gallery, Outer Limits, and Star Trek? A. John Aston, B. Alan Napier, C. Burgess Meredith, or D. Jeff Corey? Everyone loving Burgess Meredith today, but no. Oh, Teb got it. D. Jeff Corey. He was the leader of the Cloud City in Star Trek. And he was in the, I can't remember what he did in the Outer Limits, but yes, he was in all 3. Ooh, Paul Bless has a fun fact for Jeff Corey. Jeff Corey in the Cloudminders on Star Trek TOS Season 3. I have a nice 16 millimeter film print of the episode, and Gerald Cole wrote that one. Excellent, thank you. Criminal says, who doesn't love Burgess Meredith? Oh no, everyone loves him. But it was the wrong answer, I'm afraid. Mike Silva says, you're right, Bonds. Whack, 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 whack. Ooh, and the number 1 question for today's trivia is, who is the only actress listed to not play Catwoman? A. Lee Merriweather, B. Anne Margaret, C. Eartha Kitt, or D. Julie Newmar? I shall repeat. Who was the only actress listed to not play Catwoman? A. Lee Merriweather, B. Anne Margaret, C. Eartha Kitt, or D. Julie Newmar? And everyone's getting this one. Yes, but wouldn't it have been cool if she had? I could see Anne Margaret playing Catwoman. I have no trouble seeing that. Boy, can I see that. But anyway, yes, B. Oh, and Pablo says Anne Margaret, who is overrated in my opinion. So apparently you could not see her playing Catwoman. Others say she would have been good. Oh, okay, and Zuplik says, how about we get some scores? Doug says Burgess Meredith never played Catwoman either. Well, there was that one episode. Okay, Zuplik is 5 for 10. Tab is 7 for 10. Tug is 5 of 10. Criminal is laughing out loud. Dominic D says, I like Anne Margaret. Dave says, Miss Piggy. Oh, from a Kermit reference earlier. Criminal is 5 for 10. Tracy is 5 for 10. Gary Carpenter says, Pod Blessed. That's my favorite episode, and they made a sequel on The Next Generation. They did. Wow, that's right. They did. WD says 7 of 10. Mike Silva says 8 of 10. Indy Spout says 7 of 10. Back half blues. Apparently, the last half were tougher than I realized. Ziplik says, I can watch Anne Margaret any day. Gary Carpenter says, not Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. Was Deep Space Nine? I'm sure you're right. I'll be honest, I confuse a lot of the later franchises. I kind of lump them all together. I used to watch them with a group of Trekkies, and we'd have binge watches. And yeah, anyway, I tend to sometimes confuse them. But thank you for pointing that out. Cindy D is 8 for 10. David is 5 for 10. And we'll watch to see if we have any more scores. Danny Skaten says, Wait, Anne Margaret did play a Catwoman in the 1964 LOL Kitten with a Whip, but that's not Catwoman though, is it? Uh, Gary Cameron says Anne Margaret is out on tour. Cool. Chromium says TOS and TNG for me. Likewise. Ziplik says Anne Margaret and super. Ken Wilkinson is 4 for 10. Chromium says close enough, I'll allow it. Indy's Boat says if Anne Margaret played Catwoman, I suppose she would be a European short hair. Extra points for figuring it out, Bob. Fine, give yourself an extra point. Gary Carpenter is 8 of 10. Keithy says scores retracted. Very well. Scores retracted. Tug says LOL Indy. Yes, that was very good. Cindy says Elvis was in love with her. Elvis was in love with everyone. Elvis was a I don't want to speak ill of him. Apparently, he was known for romancing his co-stars. He was like Christian Slater, only less creepy. But you think that she was the one who really like got his heart? I could see that. And Danny says Elvis was a horn dog. You ain't nothing but a horn dog. Well, the funny thing is, one of his biggest hits was Hound Dog, right? Hound Dog was written by a woman about her unfaithful husband. How Elvis turned it around is still, I don't know how he would manage. Particularly him of all people, because as we discussed, he was a very promiscuous person himself. But yeah, Hound Dog was written in like 1937 and by a cuckolded housewife who apparently she got into a fight with him because of his infidelity. And the story goes she wrote the song on a grocery paper bag. But I'm getting off topic. Actually, no, I'm talking about Elvis. I'm staying on topic. Texas, not in sandwiches, though. No, never in sandwiches. Keithy says Elvira and Elvis. Is it true about those two? Dave says Muppets as the Batman theme. Oh, Miss Piggy and Kermit. I'm with you. Gary Gamber says Anne Margaret was infatuated with Elvis. Weren't we all? Indy says less creepy than Christian Slater. Well, there's a bar. Get over her. Cindy says Mary Tyler Moore is the only one he never really. Mary Tyler Moore is the only one he never slept with. She said. Well, of course, we'll take her word for it. Tab says, what are your thoughts on the passing of Tony Bennett? We were talking about that earlier. It's very sad. The man did make it to 96. So he had a really good run, but it's a very sad loss. Zublik says, was she African American? Yes, the woman who wrote Hound Dog was a black woman, and it was a direct personal story of her unfaithful husband. And the song just makes so much more sense when you know that part. Dominic D says Bessie Smith did the original version of Hound Dog. Thank you, Dominic D. I did not know the lady's name, but I know it was written by a woman. But of course, Eric Burdon and the Animals did the same thing with the House of the Rising Sun. That song was written by a woman as well, and makes way more sense when you look at it that way. I think I skipped a few. Yeah, I did. I'm gonna try to catch up here. Criminal says, did Donna wrestle him to the ground like Ellie Mae? LOL. From what I understand, she did. Tug says he had to work with those hip muscles out. He had to work those hip muscles out somehow. Oh, he had to work the hip muscles out somehow. Now I'm with you. Zubik says Tony Bennett was never closed-minded. No. Pablo says, and Donna Douglas. Yes, he did. Someone I was just Dave. Yeah, Dave just did a thing on that about how she had fallen. Speaking of the devil, Dave Sundstrom is here. Says, "Hey all, yes, Donna Douglas apparently fell in love with him when she was doing a movie with him, and apparently he tore out her heart because in his mind it was just a fling." But Dave, I'm so glad you could make it. By the way, I hope you finish your homework. Oh, I'm a little too far back. Dave says, "Hey all." Pablo says, "Women." Zublik says, "I believe Shelley Fabrez denied any romantic entanglement." I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Cribbing says, "Does anyone else think Christian Slater sounds a bit like Jack Nicholson at times?" He started his career because of his Jack Nicholson impression back in the movie Heathers. That became what he was known for. Gary Garber says Angela Lansbury only made one movie with Elvis. Yes, she did. A lot of people saying hello to Dave. Oh, Dan, the breaking news man says, "I missed the trivia. Don't worry, you can watch it in replay. We shall do the honor system. But let me know how you did." And a lot of people saying hello to Dave. Podla saying hello to Dave. Dave Sundrum says, "I'm glad you enjoyed it. I always enjoy your stuff. Thank you very, very, very much." Indies about says Slater established his career on that very similar. Yes, as I was saying, is Dave says, "Thanks for sharing the link, Danny." Oh yes, Danny's my Lancelot link. Criminal says, "Just at certain times, I hear a bit of Nicholson in his voice. I think he does it without meaning to these days." Dave says, "I think that was a video that my brother Steve did. Was it Steve? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do remember the video. I couldn't remember. I thought it was yours, but you're right. It probably was Steve. Thank you." And or actually, you know what it might have been? Oh my gosh, it was the Life and Sad Ending. I think it was the Life and Sad Ending may have done it. Who's not here? So I'll apologize to him later on. Gary Garber says Caesar Romero was the best Joker. He certainly was. Mike Silva says, "Check out your illusions at the door. The Star Wars Holiday Special is genius." Really? Oh, sure. And it costs your immortal soul to watch. Dennis sending us more links. Thank you. Tug says, "Beware of the second half of the quiz." Apparently, yeah, they were really tough in the second half. Zublik says Shelley Fabrez did 3 movies with Elvis, and he was on record that she was his favorite co-star. I did not know that. CDD says, "A cult favorite, Crow." Tug says, "Shock sound for the Crow, but we all have our blind spots." Danny says, "Hey, wait, Lancelot Link was a ape. What are you saying?" LOL. In a spiritual way. In a spiritual way. Gary Cameron says Anne Margaret was in the Train Robbers. She was. What? I had completely forgotten that she was. Yes, you're right. Quimini says, "Cindy D, I can't believe I haven't. I know it was huge." And he spelled says, "To Tug, much like Q Lazarus music video, the second half of that quiz created more questions than answers." Thank you, I think. Pablo says, "It cracks me up how Elvis would allegedly shoot out his TV screen when Robert Goulet appeared on his TV. That's too crazy to not be true." Mike Silva says, "Crow, Heathers is a great movie." I love Heathers. I thought it was. I think it was a great movie. Dave says, "Thrash's quizzes typically get harder as they go on, and I don't intend them to. I write the question, then I just sort of randomly compile them. They just seem to get harder. I think people just get tired, and it's fatigue by the end." Gary Garber says, "Bye Bye Birdie was Anne Margaret first movie." I did not know that was her first movie. I believe it. I didn't know it was her first movie. A lot of people believing that Dave's right, that my questions get harder as we go. And Duplex says buffering. We'll see if it clears up. Tug says, "I might have to dip out. I'm exhausted. I'll try to hang out, but it's been a long week for me." Guys, I'm actually thinking about wrapping it up a little early tonight. Maybe like not like now, but a little before 9. Granddaughter has a bunch of stuff she wants to do tomorrow, so I have kind of an early morning tomorrow. But either way, basically what I'm trying to say, Tug, is I'm letting you off the hook. Danny's giving us a link to the Starlog. Thank you. Mike Silva says, Gene Abbott. Any minute now, Sid will be coming round begging for his Coco Betty Lewis. Any minute now, Trevor will be round begging for his, and it won't be Coco. Queen says, no gunfire in the house is usually a good rule. Yeah. And Gary Carpenter says, I had to change places in my room. Ah, good. I hope that works out for you. So he says, you need to do some Elvis trivia, Thresh. You know what? I think I will. Oh, by the way, Lance, you notice that there were Batman questions in today's trivia, as promised. But I will. I will do Elvis trivia. I will. That sounds like fun. Tracy says, gotta get going. Have a very nice evening, all. Tracy, so glad you could make it. Mike Silva says, okay, Pawns, I get up at 4 a.m. Okay, you're getting up at 4 me. I'll give you that much. Cindy D says, have a good one, Tracy. A lot of people saying good night to Tracy. Thank you for the link, Dan. Tug says, good night, all. See you on the next one. Teb says, hope you have a good night. Thrash, see you soon. Likewise, Teb, I'm so glad you could make it tonight, by the way. And thank you for putting together those little icebreaker questions for me, by the way. That's really, really cool. And it's always appreciated. And Mike Silva says 4 a.m. Yeah, I think that's what you meant. Indy says, is there some stream of consciousness award we can provide for Mike Silva? Isn't he amazing? He really just manages to just create his own stream of consciousness. It's wonderful. And let's see. Oh, and I was like saying good night to Terrell. Excellent. But while speaking of which, I think a few actually, wow, a lot of people have dropped out. We're down to 16 people. I think some people have sort of discreetly bowed out. Danny says, Pawns, what's in the Bloody Mary mixed drink? How do you make it? Okay, that's easy. You take vodka and Bloody Mary mix. Okay, just kidding. If you want to make it like your own Bloody Mary mix, what I usually do is you take tomato juice, add black pepper, a little tiny bit of Tabasco, just a dash, just a little burn, some lemon juice, and maybe some garlic salt, right? And you mix that all up really, really good. Taste it first to make sure it tastes good to you. Tweak it if you have to. And then you mix that with 1.5 ounces of vodka over ice. Some people like to add celery. I think it's better with olives. Because the olives just give it a little zing. And or some people even do a lemon wedge. But traditionally, you want to do the celery stick and use the celery stick to actually help stir it. But that's actually the Bloody Mary. And if you don't feel really, really creative, again, you can actually get your own homemade, pre-made Bloody Mary mix, or just use tomato juice. It's just as good with just tomato juice. Gary Geimer says, good night, Miss Calabash, wherever you are. Oh, I should say it like Jimmy Durante. Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Mike Silva says, Danny, is this the Barbie song? Gary Garrett says tomato juice. Yeah, again, you can cheat and use tomato juice, sure, no problem. Pablo says, got a long day of swimming with my almost 5th grade niece and almost 6th grade nephew tomorrow. That sounds like a blast. I hope you have fun. Keithy says, we always put a little horseradish in the Bloody Mary mix. There are no wrong answers. A lot of people like horseradish. I think it makes it too hot. But again, the point is you want to like actually you want to put stuff in it that will like jumpstart your metabolism, so it'll help you process the alcohol. So again, I can certainly see that. Teddy Satan says, "Cool, I'm out of milk, but I have tomato juice and vodka." Crummy says, "How about a V8?" You know, this is funny. We were just talking on Dave's channel about tomato juice. You know what I love tomato juice with, or V8 juice, but particularly tomato juice. Back in the day, when I used to eat, in the 80s, when they used to do breakfast served anytime, and you get steak and eggs at 9 o'clock for dinner, I always had it with tomato juice. I love tomato juice with steak and eggs. Oh, and Mike Silva says, anybody seen the new Indiana Jones, the number 5? Podblast says, Thrash Bond of Pawns, will you do a live show Friday night? Been sick and busy, so I've Not going live in a month. Man, I would love to. I would love to. The only problem is I have to work on Friday nights. You know what? I'll talk to you on Facebook if you wanted to, if we could do a later show. Maybe. Trust me, I would absolutely love to. Oh, by the way, yeah, you had the new Indian variant. By the way, I hope you're feeling better. Are you feeling better? I'm so glad you mentioned that. I almost forgot. But anyway, I'll talk to you on Facebook. We'll try to coordinate. I don't know what your schedules are when you have to do your live shows, but again, unfortunately, Fridays are really busy at my restaurant, so I gotta work. Oh, Dave says I've seen Indy 5. It's good, not great. A very even-handed review. Indy's Boat says, "Peace out, Thrash. Thanks for the pummeling." Praise from Caesar. Thank you, Indy. Hope to see you really soon. Dave's giving us another link. Pablo says, "No, I'm saying I am going live on Friday. And yes, I'm feeling. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were wondering if you were inviting me as a guest. Quite all right. Quite all right. I will have to watch it in replay. Enjoy your Friday show. And yes, everybody, if you haven't subscribed to Podblast yet, uh, please do. I believe Danny's already given us a link, and he will be doing a live show this Friday. And with any luck at all, you will see me in the comment section. Looking forward to it. Looking forward. What's the topic? Let us know what the topic is. A lot of people saying good night. Good night. Mike Silver says, "Dave, my family member said they should have stopped with part 4. But Dave says, I'm glad they did a part 5. Oh, and thank you. Danny's given us another link to Podblast and says the Remembering Bob Crane was awesome. Yes, that was the first. I believe that was the first of your major works that I saw, and that one was an absolutely amazing show. And thank you again. Mike Silva says, "Is the Pink Panther movie?" Oh, is this a Pink Panther movie? Pablo says, "I think Indy belongs back in the 80s, rolling off into the sunset was a perfect ending in The Last Crusade." I loved that ending. I really, really loved that. I thought it was very, very slick. Oh, and the topic is going to be summer movies. That sounds like a really fun topic. I love summer blockbusters. Tom says, "Thanks. You're very welcome." And Public was going to say, as in set in the summertime. Oh, okay. Like the summer of 42 or that time. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Stand By Me, I guess, would count, wouldn't it? Mike Silva says, "Pop Blast like the Barbie movie." Did you? I don't know. Pop Blast, did you like the Barbie movie? Have you seen it? And WD says, "I have to go make dinner. See you all later. Great live stream thrash." Dominic, thank you very, very much. Dave says, "You're right. That was a great ending. It really, really was." And Superluke says, "Good night, Dominic D." And Dan says, "Trivia. What was Willy Wonka's middle name?" I don't know. He does mention, but I don't know. Anyone? 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 Oh, and did give us another link to I Finally Caught Bigfoot on Camera. Pablo says, "I have not been to the movies since I got sick. Guardians 3 was the last movie I saw." And your camera says to Dan, "Wee." And Cindy D says, "Niley, LOL, Dan." Wilbur, Willie Wilbur Wonka. Is at www.wonkabars.com. And Zublik says, "Send us that picture, Danny." Oh, and Keithy says, like most famous people, his middle name was the blank. So, anyway, folks, yeah, I think I'm going to call it. A lot of people are bailing Ahu, but I just want to say this has been really fun. Cindy D says, "Neely, I meant thrash." Well, nearly a problem, Cindy. Oh, and Jenny says, "Click the link and subscribe. Uh, and watch the video." What he said, what he says. Owen's book says, "As in Mr. Ed at the breaking news." Criminal says, "Thanks, Thrash. Peace to all." Anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. For you new folks, welcome to the party. I'm so glad you could make it. For you returning members, it's always great that you guys keep coming back for more. And I want to thank you guys for being so interactive. You guys what really, really make this. And if I ever miss any of your comments, you know the routine. I'm terribly sorry. If you need to repeat yourself for me to see them and read them into the record, please feel free to. But anyway, I am doing a show tomorrow night. It'll be around 7:30. Not sure how long it's going to last. But anyway, until then, be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.